I'm not fan of racing simulators or arcades. I'm not even a fan of cars. I played Need for Speed as a kid and I only played the 5th part of the Forza series. I haven't even played the first 2 parts of the Crew. But I love the whole game thing. And I have something to say about the Crew Motorfest.
Along the way.
Look, first of all, what's the main feature of the Crew series? That's right, the open world. Namely that there we can see the map of the whole USA, just very reduced. And in the first part it's 5,000 square kilometers, and in the second part it's 7,000. And though in the second part the map became bigger, it became much more detailed and interesting. And realizing that the map of the United States is the main feature of the series, the developers of the new part took and moved the action to Hawaii? What? Why? For what? And I have the answers to those questions. But according to my statistics, this is the most boring part of the video for my viewers. But for me, it's the most interesting. So I will talk about the reasons why the map is so small in the end of the video. And so, Hawaii. Let's get straight. Yes, the creators of the Crew stole from Forza 5 as much as possible, which I think is pretty nice. Taking someone else's idea and making it their own, and maybe even better than the original, is not a bad idea. But the second feature of the series, which appeared in second part, is different types of transport. That's it. You can race not only the cars and bikes, but also on boats and planes. And it adds great dynamics to the game. As for me, the coolest thing here is that the developers haven't tried to implement realism. Because of which to switch to another vehicle, you need to find it and press a button, and only then you will be driving a plane. No, you can drive a car and then easily switch to an airplane or boat. That's it. We drive a car, jump into the water, turn onto a boat, dive a boat on the track, jump on the springboard into the air and turn into an airplane. It's very cool and fun. And I don't care if it's not realistic. I've heard that the series have some problems with the physics and controls. I drove the cars, swam and flew, and I'll be honest, everything here is fine. I'm certainly not a master and do not understand all the details of driving in the races, but it was just comfortable and enjoyable for me to play. The only thing that I was a little upset is that on the jumps the car flies down very quickly, as if something pulls the car down. Perhaps it is more realistic, but I would like to fly on the jumps as in Forza. And this applies to the physics of all the vehicles. Cars have a sense of weight, you can feel them drift, and you can even go off the track. And this applies to the physics of all transportation. The cars feel the weight, the car can drift, you can fly off the track. When you drive on a boat, you feel the waves. The ship behaves quite similar to the real one. When you start, it is slow, and the inertia for turns and braking is long enough. Airplanes, I'm not really a pilot, but to me, airplanes, quite nice. Not Microsoft Flight Simulator, of course, but it feels nice enough for me. Also, cars have an upgrade system where you will find various parts for your vehicle and install them. And unfortunately, it doesn't feel like it was in the Need for Speed. It's just about increasing of characteristics. So I didn't like the system. But as I realized, in the last part there was something similar. So for those who like the upgrading system in the last part, you will like it in this one. The main feature of this part, which I realized wasn't in the last one, is playlists. The idea is that you choose a style that you like, for example, Neon Tokyo or Retro, and you start a series of races in this style. Again, in the night and Neon Tokyo, or in retro style with old cars. And so you're going to have to go through several tracks in a row. And each playlist will have different gameplay. Again, in Tokyo it's speed and drifting, and in retro, slow cars and poor grip on the track. And in essence, it's not so much about cool driving, but about the ability to cut corners and find shortcuts. Also, what made me glad, these playlists differ not only in gameplay, but also in atmosphere and style. You can already notice that the graphics on Retro and Tokyo are different from what we saw in the main game. Even the light filters are different. And yes, it's true. But besides that, the music changed. So sitting in an old car, you will hear the tracks from the last century. And in Tokyo, something modern, like well, as best I can. And we have a lot of these various playlists. And I really hope that the developers will add more, because yes, after passing these playlists we can replay these very tracks performing some challenges. But I have not had so much fun doing it. And so I really hope that there will be more. And if not new playlists, then at least new races in the old ones. But new playlists are better, of course. In fact, I think that will be the killer feature for the game. Because as for me, in racing, the most difficult thing is to diversify the gameplay, because to be honest, just racing is boring. You need something else, either super realism or just crazy ideas. And if Forza Horizon has crazy tracks, in the new part of the Crew their scene is the ability to change the type of transport, and secondly, these playlists. And all this is played absolutely differently and only adds fun to the game. Graphics in this game, as for me, quite nice. And what is immediately noticeable? Reflections. They're much better than in previous games. Everywhere very beautiful vegetation, buildings. And I'll tell you the truth, I don't know what kind of graphics here, how much it is better or worse than Forza, but just visually, I like it. I don't get a visual orgasm, but there is nothing that I don't like. And now to my favorite, the behind the scenes of game development. You see, past parts were huge, I would even say monstrous, and you could drive from Seattle to Miami in about 55 minutes. Now, however, the game's map has shrunk a lot. It's smaller because Ubisoft having some money problems. It is as simple as that. And they can no longer spread on huge and expensive open worlds, as it was in the past games for The Crew, Assassin's Creed or Far Cry. So we already know that in the Crew Motorfest the map is much smaller than in previous parts. In the new Assassin's Creed the map will be much smaller than in the previous parts too. And I predict that in the new Far Cry will be the same. And that's great, because a smaller map means that it was better worked on, better filled and optimized. And as for me, the new The Crew looks and plays really much better than the previous one. And I agree to sacrifice a huge territory if we have a great, filled and interesting game. And you know what? I think The Crew fits that description. It may not be a 10 out of 10, but it's a great game for those who like racing, and I can recommend it to you.